You guys think it's possible that poor overall health in rural areas compared to urban areas could be a cause why rural areas have more vaccine distrust? If people in rural areas see people dying after vaccination, they could misinterpret the cause. I don't think that people are using real world examples to drive their mistrust of the vaccine. I think it is in rural areas. I mean, I can tell you, when I lived full time up in Hudson, you know, you look out there, things get dark. And by the time you get to winter, you don't know what is out there. Mountain lion, ninjas. It's not hard. Matt, I mean, you know, right? I mean, you get out there in the country. My
brother lives outside of Bismarck now, and I had to put my brights on to get out there, and it's just completely pitch black. Yeah, but I mean, I think people do use some sort of I heard an example when I was home of knew somebody who they had a vaccination when they were younger and they had a bad reaction to it, and that story will travel so much faster in these conditions than it would under a normal condition. So like everybody, if that happens and there is an anecdote, then everyone becomes aware of that anecdote.
But the weird thing is that the COVID death doesn't travel in the same way.
No, absolutely not. Or even long COVID. Like my mom knows 3 people that she works with. She works in a hospital system that have long COVID, and it's just like the way certain people talk about this pandemic, it's like they don't know anyone that works in healthcare or something.
Let's put it this way: if COVID was delivered with a needle, I think people would take that much more seriously. I think there's just something like, you know, people have a natural.
It's a cognitive dissonance, basically.
But what percent
institutions?
Well, no, it's not. I honestly think that, like, what percentage of the population is just nervous about a needle? I mean, 20%.
I think a lot more of it's just institutions. I mean, when you see it, who's distrusting? It's the left anti-vaxxers who distrust institutions, supported Bernie, and, you know, believe in yoga, don't believe in big pharma. You've got communities that have been repeatedly spied on, investigated, had medical violation, whatever, all from the government and the medical industry. And of course, you know, far right Republicans who don't trust anything because they think the government's coming to get their guns.
But why is it that they're skeptical of the vaccination as opposed to monoclonal antibodies?
Because it's distributed by the government, and the government's pushing it, and Anthony Fauci is the head of that, and he has and then it's the deep state, and then you end up being radicalized by the right.
I mean, if it wasn't Anthony Fauci, it would be somebody else. There's a natural inclination to be suspicious about vaccine.
Nobody wants to sorry.
Needles are just scary.
And the monoclonal antibodies and the ivermectin stuff, all that stuff is like how you are empowered as a consumer.
Yeah.
And you found you stayed up late and caught the right infomercial at 2 a.m. and now you saved your life because of it.
It also makes them feel special because they are going against what they perceive as an orthodoxy. And secondly, I think we have zero literacy when it comes to preventative treatment in this country. And that's what the vaccine is. It prevents you from, for the most part, having severe COVID symptoms and dying. And we just there's
big pharma.
I also think that there is the natural tendency for skepticism, and I think a big pharma has done some horrible things. But having Donald Trump as the president right up there, and having to have public health officials, and public health is I think is inherently also tricky, because you are recommending a course of action that is best for society, but not necessarily best for any specific individual. And that there's always that tension there.
And we've already individualized healthcare in this country to a degree that other countries haven't.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think just even broadly speaking, I mean, I think that's why you can see protests in other countries too, because broadly speaking, I mean, look, the reality is that in, you know, if everybody was taking whatever medical procedure it is, needed whatever medical procedure it is, right? Like whatever, you need your appendix. Everybody needs your appendix out. The fact is that I am sure there is a percentage of times where people have their appendix taken out, even if it hasn't exploded, where people die, people get injured, right? I mean, every medical procedure has some measure of risk. And so But if the public policy is everybody needs their appendix out, let's just assume for whatever reason there was some disease where it affects your appendix, or for the individual, it may the risk is different for the individual than it is for society, and I think like sometimes that's hard for people to sort of wrap their heads around. And when you start and you enter into a pandemic with an administration that is war itself over public policy messaging and public health messaging, where the CDC is getting, is being manipulated, and they're afraid to actually come out with the recommendations that they need to come out with, it begins to undercut that trust, even regardless of who it is that is saying this stuff.
I also think, Sam, though, that this is, this all being true, but yes, and they seized on an opportunity to a crisis. Never let a good crisis go to waste, right? The right seized an opportunity. They saw how the Trump people responded, and they saw through trends. I mean, there's enough data out there now to see who was responding to the vaccine, and they started to use it as an opportunity to radicalize people. I mean, we all know in the last 6 months, I can't believe how many people who I considered to be on the left during the Bernie years and are not involved in politics, are just individuals, are completely radicalized on the right now. They don't trust, they were backing the recall in California. They don't trust the government at all. They don't trust any institutions, blah, blah, blah. But it all started, and it's all because of the vaccine. Don't let the government control me. I could name at least like 6 or 7 people that were Bernie people, were leftists before Bernie, and have been radicalized. I mean, this is an enormous opportunity for the far right to keep their seeds planted and sprout them as demographics were not going in their favor. And I think it's a way to loop in younger people too, who they knew they couldn't win with other issues.
Well, I don't even, I mean, like I anecdotally, and I don't know how broadly you can extrapolate this, but like I know people who are largely like apolitical, just want to live their lives. They were, at least, or I perceived them as such, and they're not vaccinated because they're just generally anxious people. And so like they perceive it's experimental. I mean, and I don't like the Democratic governors in my state here in New York, pushing this down my throat. Then that's radicalizing too, because like it's forced people to be thoughtful about politics or proactive in a public health way that makes them very anxious and uncomfortable. And that can there's a reaction.
And they're targeting them. They're targeting them. They see that and they're like, all right, this is how we're going to loop you in. And then, you go down the research spiral, and the next thing you know, you're citing Joe Rogan or whatever.
Yeah, the right absolutely cannot say no to any sort of populist issue, because most of their issues are like we should lower corporate taxes and like the abortion stuff, right? That's not a natural thing. And they are speaking to the people who, like, you can tell in their rhetoric, like, did you know you can still get infected even if you're vaccinated? Like, yeah, but the point is you lower your risk of infection, and then that's ultimately going to stop the spread or slow the spread. But they're really just talking to the one person who thought like, oh, if I get vaccinated, this is going to be everything. And now you can try to like you said, capture them in their frustration at the moment, because they're not trained to think of and not told how to even think about these things in a way that they help society broadly.
Otto6 at #Majority Report, never experienced so much pain. Can I get a shofar for this enduring case of shingles? Oy, get that vaccine.
My God.
Ooh.
Oy.
I'm so sorry.
I got my first dose of my shingle vaccine. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was the last day that Andy Kindler was on. Can you look that up? Because I gotta do it from 2 to 6 months out from there. Kindler said something about the shingles vaccine. I was like, I should get my shingles vaccine. I walked by a pharmacy, and it was like there was a sign.
They offer it at every pharmacy.
And I walked in.
If you've had shingles, can you still get the vaccine? Because isn't it like I've had shingles before, like 15 years ago. It's the most painful thing ever.
Yes.
You can still get it.
Yeah. Because if you've had shingles before, you can get it again.